was doing weird things today, and I could reach your beanie, but I don't want to. Do you like my setup today? I'm visiting my parents, and I thought that the kitchen would just make a really good backdrop for the experience. You'll see. Hey, Sebastian Stan stands and normal people, it's the movie just for you! Maybe, I don't know, it stars Sebastian Stan and Daisy Edgar-Jones, so yeah. Fresh is a ride of a movie. I caught it back at Sundance, it made my top of the fest, and even though our group watching it had collectively allowed our imaginations to go even further than the movie actually did in certain ways, I still had a blast. Is that a weird way to describe this experience? Probably. Oh well, a blast! It's a dark horror comedy concealed inside a rom-com about the horrors of modern dating. And please don't judge it specifically on that description. I'm sure a lot of people would be kind of like turned off by that, but if you're into dark horror comedies, I can assure you this is worth checking out. It's on Hulu in the States and on Disney Plus and most of the places that don't have access to Hulu. It's always annoying trying to figure out what's available on which streaming services and in which country, but with today's sponsor, Surfshark, that problem is solved. By connecting to one of thousands of Surfshark servers, you can make your internet think you're in a different location so you can take advantage of region-locked content. I'm currently on a huge Hulu binge because they have a ton of shows and movies that aren't available on other streaming services, and I absolutely love taking advantage of it. Shows like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, The OC, The Bachelor. What? No, I haven't started watching The Bachelor. You're crazy. With the new Batman having just come out, you might find yourself wanting to watch the old ones only to find that, oh no, they're not available on your Netflix. Just use Surfshark to connect to a server in Hungary and boom, Batman for days. It's the only VPN that allows one account to connect to unlimited devices, so you don't have to play this game of like uninstalling and reinstalling the app on different devices depending on where you want to watch things. It's super fast, secure, blocks unwanted ads, and if you use code JEDI, you can save a whopping 83% and get 3 months free. That's right, 3 months free on top of already getting 83% off. And as if it could get any better, they offer a 30-day money-back guarantee policy if you are not completely satisfied. So make sure to click the link in the description below if you want to check out Surfshark for yourself. Just know that you might be someone who has a hard time with this. It's not overly gruesome or visually gory, but it's gonna end up being a mental thing for a lot of people. This is also a weird one to talk about because a lot of people would find a particular aspect of a movie to be a major spoiler, but if you had read the description and seen the trailer, I think it puts something very distinct in your mind. Basically, what I'm saying is that a dark horror comedy about the dangers of dating and how some guys view women that plays out in a really twisted and fresh way sounds interesting. This might be the movie for you. Those allegories to the meaning the movie is trying to get to can be pretty heavy-handed at times, but it never takes away from the face value of what's being shown on screen. The story they're telling is being enhanced by the method of delivery rather than just feeling like it was shoehorned in, like some horror movies that I've talked about recently. So if you have no idea what this is or what it's about and really just kind of want to watch it without having any spoilers, feel free to watch it first and then come back. But before we dive into the full spoilers, I'll just do the setup, then I'll kind of talk about what you can tell just having watched the trailer. Then I'll be very clear about when I'm going into like the full spoiler zone so you can bop off if you want, and I'll have timestamps down below. So let's hop in. So dating in the modern age seems tough. Dating apps seem like a nightmare. Trying to meet people in person seems like a nightmare. Like meeting people organically through social interactions. Are you joking? In this economy? And that's where we start off with Noah, a 20-something-year-old just trying to find connection in the modern age on a date. And it's not a horrific one. It's just exhausting. We've got a man in a scarf. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. I'm just setting the tone, saying that he misses the days when women were more feminine because she just looks so good in a dress right now. Sir, you don't appear to be wearing a button-up, suit jacket, or tie, so who are you to be criticizing the sweater? Especially when it is clearly chilly out. So, not a connection. Then, even though they each paid for their own meals, this man literally takes her leftovers for his brother. Even if you had paid for the entire date, that's weird. And it's all capped off with some light racist behavior towards the waitress.
Sparkling water? Sparkling? Bubble?
Yeah.
You know bubble?
Before he tries to go in for a kiss and immediately turns into a massive asshole when she shoots him down.
I was literally just being polite. You're not even my type, to be honest.
Is it a bit on the nose for all the stereotypical things that can go wrong on a date just rolled into one? Yup. But that's okay, because it's here to just set the tone for her dating life. She gets home and starts the swiping game again and gets a dick pic in minutes. So when she meets Steve, an older, goofy, yet charming and handsome man in a grocery store, she actually ends up giving him her number. Because that's the way you're supposed to meet people, right? Naturally, in the wild. Who doesn't want to be fed grapes that taste like cotton candy? But when she finally shares this encounter with her best friend Molly, she's kind of the overly cautious voice of concern. Handsome dude in his mid to late 30s approaching a young girl in a grocery store, probably married. He also hasn't texted yet.
It's one of the things I love about dating women. Less games, more emotional dependence, you know?
But when he finally does reach out, she figures, hey, what could possibly hurt from going on one date to a bar?
Can I get a Manhattan with like as many cherries as you can spare?
1 7 and 7 with 8 maraschino cherries, sugar on the rim, blended if you can.
And he's perfectly charming, still a little goofy, but it's disarming. He's a reconstructive surgeon, so he's doing well for himself career-wise, and he very quickly gets into the family questions. He says he doesn't really have any, and she commiserates. Her dad passed away, and she hasn't seen her mom in years.
People who, like, believe in true love are fucking idiots.
But even with that line, the date goes super well. She kisses him, and she brings him back to hers. And that's the one thing that everyone should be cautious about on a first date. Because now they know where you live if they do end up being a weirdo. Then he actually pulls back from having sex, saying that they're going too fast, and it's not like a Wedding Crashers way to make him seem more like emotionally vulnerable. It literally felt like a, oh shit, what am I doing moment. Which made me think, yeah, dude's probably married and might be regretting his actions.
Can I get you something to like drink or eat?
Just you.
So they do it, it's great. She takes a nice little stealth picture of him in the morning sun and she's off to gush to Molly, who then rightfully asks for his social medias to creep, but he doesn't have any. And for his age, that's not super unusual. Like, I'm younger than him and have a lot of friends that don't have Twitter or Instagram, and swaths of people have deleted Facebook. And because he's a doctor, it kind of makes sense that he wouldn't have the time or care to involve himself in social media. But Molly sees it as a red flag. No social media at all. Dude's probably married and isn't sharing his socials or doesn't want anything linked back to him. Now, in a lot of situations, she'd be overreacting. It's kind of a lose-lose situation. If you're on social media too much, it's unhealthy and means that you're not engaging with reality, which is off-putting. I'm in the clear though. It's my career to be on Twitter. Shut up. But if you have no social media presence, it looks like you're hiding something. Like I said, it is fucking rough out there. But Noah's not taking it as a red flag. The date went great. It's just a product of being from a different stage in life. I think she should just trust the bisexual friend though. That seems like a much better course of action. That's also because I knew this was a horror movie, but still. And the whole movie's really just playing into this idea that in a lot of situations, you really only have your gut instinct and intuition to let you know what situations might not be safe. But she's smitten, so they have another date, this time for dinner, where he says,
I just don't eat animals.
And by the end of the date, he is asking her to go away with him on a weekend trip. Seems abrupt. A bit of a red flag, especially when his other questions had to do with whether or not she had told anyone about him and stealth taking pictures of her. And best part, she agrees, and then he says, oh, I know just where I'll take you, but it's a surprise. How about no, champ? Molly's like, absolutely the fuck not.
You all digmatized and I haven't even seen this dude.
That is a great word. But even through all the concern, Noah still agrees to go. And obviously this is where shit gets really creepy. We have all been waiting for the shoe to drop. It is a horror movie. So when he makes her a drink and asks her to guess the tasting notes so she keeps taking sips, me and my friends watching were like, oh yeah, that's drugged. And yeah. So that's when 33 minutes in, we get the title card's intro swirl. It always makes such an impact when you choose to drop the movie's title that far into the runtime. Ooh, because here's where the nightmare starts. This is officially where I would say that the trailer spoilers end and the real spoilers begin. So if you want to hop off here to watch the movie, feel free, but please come back. Please. So I actually think that this is one of the more realistic, like you've been drugged then you wake up scenes.
I don't know what happened.
I drugged you.
It takes her a shocking amount of time to realize what's happened, even though he is actively telling her. And then the panic and anxiety starts to settle in when she finally realizes she's like chained to the wall, but she still thinks the whole thing's like a joke. Because of course you don't want it to be real. This is worst case scenario. No, really.
I'm gonna sell your meat. People pay me a lot of money for it.
And it's not for medical purposes, it's specifically for consumption. That's right, rich people cannibals and Army Hammer. That's the same thing. And obviously, the fresher the meat, the more money you can make, so he keeps these girls alive as long as possible as he amputates and removes various parts of them for sale.
I invented a device. It allows you to obtain 6 regular-sized hamburgers without killing the animal. Sharper Image is still considering it. Sky Mall's still considering it. Sears said no.
Clearly, if this is something that skeeves you out mentally, it's nowhere near as bad as something like Raw, but if you're someone who struggles with like the mental aspect of knowing what something is supposed to be, even if you know it's not actually happening, parts of this might be rough to get through, but that's what makes it so fun. Am I okay? Let's keep going. So my friend Zach, as the movie was going, thought this was gonna go in a more vor direction. Like Steve would either want to be eaten alive because there was like this weird focus on her eating and him not eating animals. But no, it's just that regular animals aren't good enough for him anymore. And he's telling her this in a way as if to suggest that this is like a minor inconvenience.
Stop being so dramatic.
I swear to God, if anyone's takeaway from this is, see, dick pics aren't that bad, I will snap. So she realizes she's not alone. There are 2 other girls in rooms in various stages of the process. All people who don't have strong connections, minimal to no family, not a lot of people that would push to track them down. But Steve underestimated Molly. See, she knows the bartender from their first date, and after realizing that things weren't quite right when Noah sent her a stock image photo from a tourism website of where they're supposed to be visiting, then stops answering, she goes to grill him for Steve's real name. Ha, grill. Sorry. So she figures out that his full name is Brendan Stephen Kemp. And he's actually dumb enough to have a social media presence that links back to the house he bought in town with his wife and kids. But before we can hop into her plans, we get a very upbeat scene where Steve is dancing around, packaging meat. And it's morbidly hilarious, but honestly, if I was paying tens of thousands of dollars for these high quality meats, I probably wouldn't want them chucked around like this. It also kind of feels like how I imagine an Etsy store would be run, with like the extra care. Every box gets a picture of the victim and a nice little personal item to really drive home the fact that you're getting exactly what you paid for. It's the personalized touch that makes it. Also, we always love a good psycho dance scene. Only really suspect thing here is that he's not wearing gloves and licking envelopes, so if anything were ever to be compromised, like he's fucked, but I guess we will not nitpick the cannibal movie logistics. Now, Steve has an issue. He actually does really like Noah. He hadn't slept with any of the other girls and he just couldn't help himself from sleeping with her. And she tries to use it, but then her single botched escape attempt leads to her losing her ass.
I'm taking her ass.
Yes, her ass. Let's not ask any more questions and just hope that it's something that can be fixed if she ever gets out. So things aren't going so great for Noah, so it really looks like it's all gonna come down to Molly, who goes to visit the wife and ask if she knows anything about her husband being away, but she's being very dismissive. And I immediately thought that the wife was probably in on it, which seems even more likely when Steve or Brendan comes home and just maintains that he has no idea who Noah is, even though Molly has a picture of him and they just try to usher her out. Which is when Molly has a stroke of ill-timed genius. Someone was texting her from Noah's phone, so she decides to call it.
Oh, it's you.
And then gets knocked the fuck out by the wife. Molly, wait till you're outside the house to try to set up the psycho. But thankfully she had sent the bartender Paul her location before heading over, and he finally checks it when he notices that none of his messages are going through to her and sees that she's just not moving out in the middle of nowhere. So Molly's out of the rescue mission, and I'm just hoping that this dude manages to help out. But it might not all be lost here with Noah. Even though she lost her ass, he still likes her, and she gets magazine privileges. One of which has a hidden note from someone named Sammy saying that if you're reading this, don't give up because it means he likes you and you can use it. So she starts a new tactic, one to play into his tastes by asking what it tastes like.
If it's done right, it's fucking exquisite.
So now he's thinking he might have found his perfect little cannibal queen. He took her ass, but they can get past that. What's a little ass between cannibal lovers? So this eventually piques his interest enough to know why she was curious, so he offers to cook for her. Okay, Noah, this is it. You gotta hold strong. It also seems like this might not have been the first time he took a liking to someone even outside Sammy. His wife, Anne, is missing a leg, so it seems like she managed to finesse her way out of confinement and is now the ultimate pick-me girl in the low-stakes assist in the business and gets to reap all the benefits. But it's date night, baby.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna drug you again.
She's scoping the place out for escape opportunities while asking him how he got into this lifestyle? And he doesn't really answer. He just says it's something he initially felt he couldn't ever do, but once he did, it just felt right. Sir, I wanted the specifics for how you got into eating people. Don't hold out on me. But he talks about how it's all about giving yourself over to someone and becoming one with them forever.
That's surrender. That's love.
Okay, yeah, sure, sir, but it's not consensual and you ain't giving yourself over to shit, my guy. Also, it's only women. He says that they taste better and that's where the money is. Amazing that a bunch of rich dudes don't want to eat other dudes. Yes, it's to work into the themes of like women in abusive dating situations and relationships and like the idea of ownership and possession. But dinner's done. Time for Noah to step up. So he feeds her a meatball, which honestly sometimes just creep me out in general, so I'd already be mentally struggling with this. Also, if you're worried he's feeding her Molly, don't worry, he's not that sick. Yet, this is someone named Hope, and we know that for sure because we saw him make the selection from his stash. And Noah commits. She makes jokes about Hope. You think she might actually be having a shared experience with this dude in the cult of weirdos. But she's just really good at putting on a show. She pukes it all up. I thought it could have been really interesting if she did end up being really into it, but again, that doesn't really play into like the story that's being told. But as she's taking care of her meal, Steve's bringing Molly upstairs. Oh no. Look, I am really upset that her efforts were for naught here. She doesn't deserve any of this. She deserves to keep all of her body. But Steve just can't get Noah out of his head. He's super into this shared experience he feels they had. And it kind of seems like he probably partook in most of his tastes alone, like eating some casual cured human meats after a run. Probably isn't bringing stuff like that to his home in the city. So he's eager for another date, gets her some stuff to freshen up with, buys her a dress.
Because I think you would just look great in a dress.
That is one of the most hideous and infantilizing dresses I've ever seen, but okay, cool, he seems happy. So they start with someone's liver pate.
Do taste the garlic. Whoa.
You can make it next time.
Oh man, he's in deep. Again, if you're worried that this is Molly, it's Melissa, the other girl that was down there with them who had essentially lost her mind. Something that definitely takes Noah back for a second, but my God, can she commit?
She tastes so, decadent, and her name's Melissa.
Noah's out here, fighting for her life. Then he shows her the wall, which is where he keeps all the pictures and personal effects from all the people he ships off, which is where she sees the picture of Sammy. I know a lot of people thought that his wife Anne might have been Sammy with a new name, but no, you see your picture right here. I'm guessing she got to where Noah did and then just failed to escape. Then Noah notices Molly's phone in the stack and it's on. I kind of assumed she might have been planning to take a little bit more time, but she decides she's got a hard commit. Put on the show and get her and her friend out. But the meal's not over. It's time for the main course, which is breast meat. And this is where I tap out. I realize that it's very normal to eat chicken breast, but this is clearly a different consistency and type.
You saved the breast till last.
Oh girl, you are strong.
So I just need to clarify that I would draw the line at cannibalism in general. I'm just saying that if I was in this position, that's where I would... Yeah.
I also feel fairly confident that he is actually feeding her Molly here.
It might even be familiar.
He took her for surgery, she's not missing limbs, and clutches her chest at one point, and it seems like something you'd want to serve fresh. And I'm sure in his sick, twisted way, this wasn't like a you tried to manipulate me and now I'm feeding you your best friend. He probably sees it as a way for Noah to have a piece of Molly with her forever. But Noah starts crying, the full commitment, and says she feels so conflicted because she enjoys it, but feels guilty that she doesn't feel guilty. Remember, if you're ever kidnapped by a cannibal trying to sell you off for meat, just really commit to being into the lifestyle. Make them feel like they're not alone or weird in your kindred souls. Why am I offering advice as to what to do if you get kidnapped by a cannibal? But she gets him to dance, to start letting his guard down, sets him up to have sex, then she bites the shit out of his dick and slams toothpaste into his eyes. Fuck yeah, Noah, get him!
Twist that dick! Twist his dick!
And she doesn't just escape, she goes to save Molly and Penny, the other girl that was still down there alive. A real hero. One can make the argument that it would have made more sense to just like really commit to taking him out and then like calling the cops or something, but I get it. Sadly, the grand escape wasn't flawless, but the three of them together do manage to get the upper hand, and it's hilarious. They're coming through the dummy lift from the floor overhead. But I'm sorry, you get hit with a meat tenderizer that hard twice, you are out. But also, learn, if he is groaning, you keep going. Triple tap if you have to. You go until the cannibal killer is dead, especially if they're harvesting people for meat. So instead of using one of those knives to full capacity after he's out, they run. Finish the job, ladies. Keep that adrenaline going. Then you think their salvation has arrived. The bartender shows up, but then he hears Steve screaming and the gunshots and bails.
Come on, man. We seen this movie, man. We don't make it out this bitch alive. You know this.
Okay, yeah, smart choice. I get it, but like maybe call for some help though? I get that he's the proxy for guys who stay silent in situations where they shouldn't. Like it all plays together into the themes, but still, I was rooting for you, sir. In this situation, it was definitely smart to get back into the car, but like, you know. And if matters couldn't get worse, the wife shows up, sees that Steve stashed his phone so he could ignore her on his little date, and it seemed like this is a situation that she's experienced before. Maybe with Sammy, so her and the delivery dude see all the mess and go outside to try to figure out where he is. But he's now just a crazed maniac chasing them through the woods with a gun and half a dick as if it's their fault for wanting to escape literal cannibalism. Also, I must comment that it's hilarious that Noah's mouth's been super bloody this whole time now because she literally bit off half of it.
Hey, you fucking half-dick!
Fuck him up! So Noah takes her power back, shoots him in the head, and when the wife finds him, there's just like no emotion. She's just like, yeah, let's get him on ice. And I hope it's because they plan to sell him off too. Like that meatball was apparently a $30,000 meal, so waste not. She then tries to kill Noah to cover it all up, so Molly comes in with the shovel beatdown in the classic.
Bitches like you are the fucking problem!
The pick me, the one that would rather kick down than lift up. Also, Molly clearly still has a ton of pent up anger here because Anne knocked her the fuck out.
Who the hell is that?
Oh, right. She had no idea that Steve had a wife. It's so funny that after everything, that still shocks her.
What? He's married?
What was married?
And the movie just completely sold it for me when it ends off with Heads Will Roll by the Yeah Yeah Yeahs because that song fucks. I'm sure that's not a surprise for anybody who saw any of the ads or the trailer, but like when you're watching it not expecting it, I just pulled it all together in such a hype way. Right as she gets a brand new message from that dumbass from the beginning saying, "You up?" Yeah. Modern dating fucking sucks. I think this probably could have ended in a bigger way that might have been a little bit more satisfying. Like I was still satisfied, but one thing I really kind of wanted to see was like the authorities reacting to the situation. Because I thrive on that kind of incredulous chaos of cops having to be like, so you're telling me he was removing body parts to sell for food? And then you don't really ever see what happens to the dude that was doing all the deliveries for him. Like he's still just there. Overall, I had a ton of fun with this. I think it really drove home the message it was going for while still just being a really solid dark horror comedy. One with a fresh take on its execution. I'm gonna go. I think everyone crushed their performances. I think there was a lot of really fun stuff in terms of how it executed the film work, and I was really happy to have caught this one with friends. But let me know what you guys are thinking down below if you caught Fresh or if you're planning to watch it. But that is gonna do it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Thanks as always to my Patreon supporters. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, leave a like on the video if you're into that kind of thing. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. I'm mostly okay, and we'll catch you all later.